Hi everyone, it's James here, the co-chair of Insurtech UK, and I'm delighted to be joined today in a fireside chat by one of Insurtech UK's new partners, Trustly. I'm joined today by Marc Matthews from Trustly. He works in the team over here in the UK, and he's going to run us through a little bit to do with Trustly's business model, what they're involved in, and why that's really exciting for the Insurtech scene. So, Marc, lovely to meet you. How are you today on this fine day?
Very well, thank you, James. Very well indeed.
Fantastic. Well, look, I guess the best way to kick things off is to tell us a bit about you. Tell us a bit about Trustly and what you guys do and how long you've been with them and why you joined.
Yeah, cool. So thank you for the kind welcome. As you said, I'm Marc Matthews. I'm head of sales for the financial services vertical at Trustly. So a little bit about Trustly. We're the largest open banking provider in the world and the original disruptor in this amazing open banking industry. So we were founded back in 2008. We're headquartered in Stockholm, and as you say, I'm actually based in London. We have a team based in London as well. We've got over 700 employees globally, covering 30 different geographies: the US and Canada in North America, Europe and the UK. And we process in excess of $30 billion of annualized payment volumes each year for over 8,500 merchants. We have over 7,500 bank connections, which gives us the ability to reach over 650 million consumers globally. So a pretty big business. And as such, we operate at a scale that's unrivaled by any of our competitors, which we feel makes us the go-to strategic partner for anyone looking at open banking. So this is a little bit about Trustly in a nutshell.
A big nutshell. I mean, those are some big numbers, and I was of course aware of you guys beforehand, just from general knowledge in the sector and mutual contacts. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, let's dive in a little bit. We keep hearing about open banking. It's obviously spawned the whole fintech scene, which is so surgent in the UK. Tell us a little bit more about it and why it's such an exciting space specifically. Obviously, the numbers speak for themselves in terms of your global footprint, but why in the UK is it so exciting?
Yes, I mean, I think, look, we're all very used to using cards every day, and cards were designed for the physical world. They weren't really ever designed for a digital world. When you're using cards now and you're buying things online, you can have to sometimes enter up to 100 keystrokes with your kind of card number, your address, your name, your expiry date, your CVV, etc. Whereas open banking is actually the payment method that was designed and built for this digital world that we now find ourselves in. I think we've all seen greater adoption over the last couple of years because of how fast things have scaled digitally. A lot of that may be down to COVID, etc., but also people using mobile phones and using mobile technology a lot more to make payments, etc. So pointing to a little bit of research that was done back in 2019 by Juniper Research, they predicted by 2021 that there would be around 4.8 million open banking payment transactions in the UK. So that was 2 years ago. They were thinking around 4.8. They revised that figure 2 weeks ago to forecast now that there'll be 23 million open banking payments made in 2021. We're already seeing 2.5 million open banking payments being made every month at the moment. And that figure is expected to get up to 697 million payments by 2026. And in terms of users, there'll be circa 0.9 million users of open banking payments this year, rising to 2.2 million next year, and then 16.4 million people using open banking payments by 2026. So you can kind of see, why this is exciting, because it's scaling so quickly as people are able to find an alternative method to using cards to make payments in this kind of digital online world.
And again, some of that, when we watch this back, when it's live and online, I'm gonna have to pause every one of those stats because each one of them was just huge. And I mean, it sounds to me that the number I took away was the 0.9 million users. I mean, that feels like we're at the ground floor here. There's a long way to go. Obviously, it's being adopted for a reason. Tell me about some of the key benefits, particularly for consumers, but obviously
Yeah.
we have a membership of businesses. What are the key benefits for both sides of the fence here? Why is this going to take off quite to the extent that you've cited? Because those numbers from 0.9 to 16 million in 5 years is a lot, isn't it? So.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, look, cost is definitely one of the key factors. So open banking payments are typically cheaper than card. So, for a merchant, it's very much, what interchange plus are you paying on cards? Where can Trustly and open banking payments help you reduce that? Convenience. This is very much our product is built as a mobile first product. So it's aimed at consumers making payments from their mobile phone, which they're more and more used to doing all the time, and comfortable in that environment. But it's the flow is very simple, very intuitive, and easy to follow. Additionally, we have a desktop to mobile flow which utilizes QR codes to take someone from their desktop, scanning with a mobile, then using facial recognition to make payments. From a security perspective, we all know about strong customer authentication, and that coming in, for definite in March next year. We've built SCA into the flow of our transaction. So trying to remove the friction that comes there, which is both a benefit for a consumer and a merchant, because, for a merchant, you want as little friction as possible to stop people from dropping out of any kind of payment flow after you've worked incredibly hard to get them to buy your product and then get to that final stage where they're actually making the payment. As I said, all of the payments are made through the mobile with app-to-app redirects using biometrics, be that facial recognition or thumbprint technology to approve the payment. So I guess, in a nutshell, when you look at it, this is a smooth, frictionless digital experience. And this is the kind of experience that consumers want these days and almost expect. This is what they do in their everyday life using mobile technology, and they expect to be able to make payments and interact with companies that they want to, financial services companies that they want to buy things from in the same way. And I guess also a big benefit for merchants is with open banking payments are irrevocable, so there's no chargeback with an open banking payment. So that's an additional layer for the merchants. Plus, with our product, we provide back office functionality that automates reporting and reconciliation. So on top of typically cheaper than card, we can also help with operational efficiencies and that kind of side of things, which is a plus for merchants as well.
That's fantastic. Sounds lots of great, useful aspects to the business. I mean, let's be specific now about Insurtech. How do you see open banking and the Trustly tools and equivalents fitting into the Insurtech space? Where you've probably got some key ideas as to where our members could kind of dive in and take a look here. What do they look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think this payment piece is the bit of the jigsaw puzzle that's probably missing, James. So we know, Insurtechs are disrupting the insurance industry in the same way that open banking is disrupting the payments industry. What we're seeing is a lot of the bigger legacy players within the insurance industry, they're very much focused on digitalization, looking at how they're competitive versus the digital first platforms, platform-based Insurtechs. But most of that that we see, the center of this shift is to drive and leverage technology to reduce costs. Things like AI, chatbots, big data, machine learning, etc. But we feel that the area that's being missed or being forgotten about, and the gap, is payments. They're not tending to be included in this digital shift. So you've still got very much cards being used, manual and slow claims processes. I mean, a couple of insurance company websites, we've even seen, claims are being processed in 24 to 48 hours, but then you see the small print that says that some claims are still paid by check. You should expect to receive your payment in 3 to 5 working days. Well, that's crazy. Like we could, if you utilize Trustly's technology, we can make claims payouts in 15 minutes. So it's we see that customers, they want now this kind of Amazon or Netflix experience in everything that they do. And we think very much that open banking enables insurers to complete this final stage of the puzzle, which is the digitization of their payments, be that payments in, payments out. We can facilitate both sides of that, but it's very much this payments arena that we think is being missed in the digitization, that where the legacy players are looking at what the Insurtechs are doing and trying to compete with them.
Yeah, do you know there's an angle to that as well, Mark? Often there's a lot of collaboration happening between legacy players and Insurtechs, because a lot of Insurtechs will effectively get their product manufactured by someone that's been in the market a while. So it's always exciting for Insurtechs to find more ways they can show how nimble they can be as a distribution channel as well. And as they move up the supply chain, obviously these capabilities give them a bit more of a strategic advantage as well. So that's really, really useful to know. And I'm sure, obviously as our members engage with you over time and see you at events and whatnot, they'll get to hear more about all of this. You seem to know your stats inside out, which is fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your interest in joining Insurtech UK and what you're looking to add value to, what different work streams interest you guys. Is it about our work with government? Is it about networking with members, or is it purely about the innovation side and just listening and hearing problems and almost filling in the gaps on open banking? Because that's also something not people very familiar with usually.
I think it's a combination of those things, James. So open banking is still at a young stage. You look back to 2016 to 18, where it was being mandated by the government. We predate all that. The plumbing exists now to provide both data and payments through the open banking rails. And I think a lot of use cases are still very much being defined as to how you can take that data and how you can, this raw data, and then how you can form that into useful outputs for consumers and merchants to actually make use of, be it the AIS side, the account information service side, or the PIS, the payment initiation service side, and how you can build use cases around that. I think as this really starts to play out, which it is now, and you can see from the numbers how as we've said, how it's growing. One of the big reasons why we wanted to join and be part of this is we want to be part of this Insurtech story and conversation. We want to be a part of the dialogue. We want to listen in. We want to understand where Insurtechs are looking at taking things, how they're thinking about product design, how they're thinking about taking products to market, to get a deeper insight into that. As you say, to be there to provide an overview of open banking. What does it actually mean? How does it actually work? How can you use it? But very much in that Insurtech focused forums where we can be part of it. So, where we can be part of the conversation, add value to the conversation, and then understand how products are formed and where we can fit into those by networking with the members, but also understanding the regulatory conversations and the discussions with the government as well, and with the regulators, because I think that's important to understand exactly where things sit. And we feel we can then really look at how we shape our product, and what the kind of the elements to our product that we offer that can then really resonate with the Insurtech industry, and ultimately build out use cases that provide the consumer with a really cool digital experience and digital journey, whilst enabling the merchant to cut costs, be more efficient operationally. And I think all of this goes a long way in consumer loyalty and loyalty to brands, that these are the kind of experiences people want. And if an Insurtech is able to provide those, I think their stickiness, consumer stickiness, and their loyalty to that brand will be enhanced by them by them getting the experiences from that brand that they want, rather than having to go and look for them elsewhere.
I think there's tons of good things here, and from my perspective as well, the movement of money in insurance has a lot of friction to it, from consumers' pocket through the distributors up to the insurers, and then back down again. So anything that helps that is going to be interesting. I'm sure you'll find lots of rich, interesting conversation about bordereaux. I don't know if you're familiar with that word, but that's a particular area where the B2B payment clearances are, a real pain, and the friction can be there. So yeah, fantastic. Well, look, I mean, as with all partners, we welcome you into the ecosystem, and delighted. Hopefully, a few members will get to meet you up at coming events you're around at. I know you and me are local to each other, so I'm sure we'll chew the fat over coffee. But thanks for supporting the Insurtech ecosystem. We're delighted that we've got so many startups that are starting to blossom, and actually, similar to open banking, our ecosystem has only just begun really, and the prospects are looking great. So it sounds like we're really aligned, and hopefully members can hear what you said today, reach out, engage with you, and you'll get a lot of value mutually from the ecosystem that we've built. All right.
Wonderful. No, that's fantastic.
Thanks very much, Marc. Been really useful today. And if any members obviously want to connect with Marc, I'm sure he's on LinkedIn, or the Secretariat can kind of share details. Otherwise, Marc, I look forward to seeing you in real life, as they say, at a future date.
Wonderful. Thank you, James.
Thanks very much. Cheers, everyone.